Well, since we're going, we'll go. So welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate this time to talk to you, answer some questions. The sabbatical team is John Fite, Rich Cronus, myself, Maxine Illica, and Pastor Siri. And so we've been working for over a year now, actually just getting ready for this time. And we're about 4 weeks from when it actually begins. And so we just wanted to provide an update. We're going to provide a little bit of information that you maybe heard if you were part of the annual meeting, but just to make sure we have all of that common ground, so to speak. And then we'll provide some updates and allow lots of time for you to answer questions. So I'm going to turn it over to Rich.
Part of my job is to review with you what is a sabbatical, and you may already have it, remember what I may have said before. And be honest, I can't remember what I said before, but if you do, that's good. But in the meantime, I did go over some points, and it's a bunch of shuns. And by that I mean the first and obvious thing of sabbatical is time for relaxation. Technically, I'm getting ahead because I'm going to be preaching about sabbatical later this summer, but my basic definition of sabbatical is resting in the arms of God. You know, you just rest deeply. It's meant to be rest, but it's resting deeply in the arms of God. But in tangible terms now, to talk about it in human terms, relaxation, that should be obvious when you're able to get away and so on. And I have a friend, she's ordained, but now she's had to retire because of health issues. But in her life, she was also a travel agent and did a lot of that for several decades. And I learned from her that it was okay to vacations. Why? Because the studies have been done. For those of us who are involved in work that requires a lot of our attention and energy, it takes at least 3 days to slow down. Once you've made the break, it takes at least 3 days to slow down. And then if you're going to do something that's going to, whatever, to rejuvenate you, it is a minimum of 3 weeks. The studies have been done. And I had a doctor, first call that I was at, that he had took about 6 weeks vacations a year, including 3 weeks to Hawaii. And I felt a little jealous. Why would he get 3 weeks to go to Hawaii? And then I learned the kind of work he did from day to day, especially when he showed up at 4 o'clock in the morning to come and deliver our baby when Tia was born. And the idea is, I realized how intense his job was, and it demanded a lot of him. Plus, he cared for people, you know, and that takes a lot of energy. If you're a caring person, that takes a lot of energy out of you over time, because in a certain way, you are sharing in their pain. And at the same time, you're supposed to come across and be a constructive, positive person, right? So he took a 3 weeks vacation, and I felt jealous about that in a way. Why do you have to be gone for 3 weeks? Well, later in life, I learned. But so now we talk about time of relaxation. I think your sabbatical is 10 weeks. Am I correct? 12 weeks. Okay, if I remember right, in seminary days, a sabbatical is at least 6 months. Yeah, yeah. But I mean, they'd be gone for at least 6 months, if not a year. But then they were expected to write a book. Okay, they wanted to see some production in the academic world. So I don't expect a book. I don't expect a book from you. Who knows? Okay, but a time of genuine relaxation, to literally let the body, heart, mind, whatever's needed to slow down and rest. That's the first thing. Secondly, it's a time of education. It is a time of learning. It can be the informal learning of being able now to pay attention to details of everyday life that you haven't before, which in fact, there's a lot to learn from, as well as intentional learning where you sit down with the books, or you go and hear lectures, you work with other teachers. That can be part of the sabbatical too. So it's in a time of intentional education. The next thing I want to point out is that with that can become meditation. We can get a lot of head knowledge, but then to ask the basic Lutheran question, what does this mean? What does it have to do with me? What does it have to do with my ministry, or what I think God is calling me to do? And that takes time to meditate deeply. With good meditation, it can then lead to inspiration. And there's new energy. And with the inspiration can come also revelation, the aha moments. You get to see something that you looked at how many times before over the years, you now see it literally in a new light or new understanding. That can happen on a sabbatical. And then, as we would say in human terms, with the revelation can come also then, and the relaxation and all these process steps can come a sense of rejuvenation, re-inspiration in the Holy Spirit. And again, these things take time. And that's why I believe that pastors do deserve sabbaticals. And I'm glad we're able to give her one and to allow this to happen in her life, because all these things are possibilities. Relaxation, hopefully for sure, education, meditation, inspiration, revelation, and rejuvenation. Yay.
But I'm going to do this. I was blessed to be able to be on the team, the search team that hired Pastor Siri, and I just remember in that room when she first came in, she said she had a lot of energy and that she could do certain things, but she needed a certain amount of time off. So she would keep a schedule. And she's always done that. When we hired Pastor Siri has done everything that she had said she'd do and more. And so, but she does have a lot of energy, and she steps out in different areas and that. And so a person like that does need a chance to step back and rest, rejuvenate, charge up the battery. And as Rich said, you know, you get inspired again and stuff like that. So I'm really excited for our congregation. We're gonna have a chance to follow Pastor Siri through the things that she's doing with the sabbatical. So that'll be fun, and I think that's great. We're also going to have a new minister here for a while, and we're going to have guest speakers. And that's going to be kind of interesting. We're going to get a different outlook on different spiritual things. And I think that's always a good thing to have. Everybody here is going to get a notebook in the congregation. We're each going to get a notebook, and we're going to get a pen. And we're going to have time during our services to journal our thoughts. And there'll be a time that we're this stuff, what's going on in the service will relate to where things that are involved with Pastor Siri's sabbatical. So that'll be fun. Also, we'll have a bulletin board out in the narthex, and we'll have what Atonement's doing and what Pastor Siri's doing, and they'll kind of parallel, and we'll follow that journey. So this will be a fun thing for both of us to be going through. And then there will be groups of us that'll be getting together. Pastor Siri is going to be doing certain things, and some of this stuff might connect with exactly what she's doing, and some might not. But we will have different groups. We'll go out to feed our starving children and pack meals out there. Then we'll also, as a group, we'll go out in the community. We'll get a chance to talk to our neighbors and show them that we care, and we'll be picking up trash and stuff that in the neighborhood. The thing that I think is important is we have to remember this is Atonement Sabbatical. Everything that we do spiritually, educationally, and rest and getting past through the rest is, whatever we can do for our pastor is what we're doing for Atonement Church. So thanks.
Yeah, as we talked about, I think it was mentioned, but our theme is intentional living. And so just as John was talking about, we are going to be looking at what does it mean to be intentional about ourselves, about our faith community, about our community at large, immediate community, as well as the world. And so many of our activities are going to tie to those things. We are going to have 13 guest pastors, and then our interim, it's not interim, we're not sure what to call her. Our sabbatical substitute pastor will be preaching 4 times as well. And so we're going to hear from 13 or 14 different voices and just speaking from their experience. And I think it's going to be really great. I am going to share with you a little bit about our sabbatical substitute pastor, just so that you can get to know her a little bit. So her name is Courtney Young, and she lives in Richfield with her husband, Brandon, who's a pharmacist, and their 2 kids, Ariana, who's 8, and Wesley, who's almost 7, and 2 cats. She graduated from St. Olaf College in 2008 with a BA in English, and then Luther Seminary in 2012, receiving her Master of Divinity with an emphasis in congregational missions and leadership. She's lived out her calling as a bivocational pastor and stay-at-home mom. She served the Lutheran campus ministry in St. Cloud for 5 years as a campus pastor, which was an experimental ministry where she was tasked to develop a buildingless ministry model. She resigned in the spring of 2020 when it became clear what school was going to look like, both at the university and for her 1st and 2nd grader. And so she's been just kind of making it through this past year like many of the rest of us, and was looking for an opportunity to kind of get back into her ministry work, and thought what we were offering was a great option for her for these summer weeks. And so we are excited to bring her on board and just have her with us. I usually am talking to you about the fundraising piece. Unfortunately, we do not have a super solid fundraising update because Sue Fosland has been indisposed for the last month or so, dealing with health challenges. And so, sorry, but the sabbatical funding update wasn't on the top of her priority list, and I totally understand that. So sending prayers for healing and recovery to her. I do know the last update that we had received, we were at about, I think it was like $8,600, and that was at the beginning of March. So there have been some additional funds that have come in since then. When we talked at the annual meeting, we talked about possibly people doing monthly pledges. If you still have a pledge for May to come, please do submit those funds. We have covered our basic necessities for the time that we're gone. We have covered the fees for our guest pastors. We've covered our summer substitute sabbatical, substitute pastor. I'm going to stumble over that a lot. I apologize. But as I mentioned also, the additional funds that we receive are going to help Pastor Siri cover her sabbatical expenses. And just it's our gift to her to show her appreciation for all she's done to us, for us. Goodness. And so that is our plan. And so our initial goal was $10,000 to $12,000. I think, pray that we are close to that, but I don't know for sure. So we will try to find that out for you. But if you are able to give a gift or have a gift that you would still like to give, please do so. And we will be having our send-off Sunday will be May 16th. Is that correct? So May 16th will be Pastor Siri's final Sunday here with us, and we will be talking about the sabbatical some more. We'll be handing out journals and pens to you, giving you a plan. While Pastor Siri is gone, we'll be doing sabbatical updates where you usually see on the front of the Herald information from the pastor. You'll be hearing from the sabbatical team instead. And our staff is incredibly equipped to be able to cover everything while we're gone. Our sabbatical substitute pastor will be checking in with staff. We'll be having some very limited office hours here, and as well as leading worship every Sunday. And then, as I mentioned, she will be preaching again 4 times. But even when we have guest preachers, she will be present and will be the one leading worship for us to have that continuity throughout the summer. So.
I I just want to lift up again exactly what Heather said about the theme. The theme was something that was really close to my heart because I am really coming into an awareness, and some of the things that are fascinating me right now is the deep connection between our body, mind, and soul. And we are disconnected as a society. And so one of the things I wanted to do this summer with intentional living body of Christ is all the metaphors to take care of myself, to reconnect myself, to go deeper into that, to maybe learn some tools and practice some tools. And while you're exploring that, you know, it's like exactly what Heather said, body, body, body of Christ, right? It's so many levels. And how do we live on purpose? How do we be Christian on purpose? How do we heal on purpose? So that's what the intentional living is. And I just had this insight last week when I was gathering with pastors with all of the stuff in the news. And my temptation is, I realize it's called sabbatical guilt. That's the phrase. I do not want to fall into sabbatical guilt, where over the 3 months that I'm gone, I allow myself to get sucked into energy draining. I really should. The 3 months, there is no should for me. I'm bought a whole bunch of books and I'm literally going to pick the one that my heart wants to read next. And that is how I'm going to try to do the entire summer. I'm hopefully going to go on an extended yoga meditation retreat of 7 days. I don't know if it'll be Bali or Costa Rica or whatever country will take me. I don't know. Planning on a trip with my family. We're having to constantly change plans because we don't know what's available. And then I'm hoping for a trip with just Derek and I. But again, we've had to already change plans a couple times. But those are just sort of the poles sticking out of the tent, being the rest of the time is, and me just getting into whatever is a healthy, calm routine. So hopefully when I come back in August, I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, full of ideas and things that I've learned and ready to listen to what you've learned as well. So there we go.
All right. So that is the basic overview. And we'll open it up to questions. Nate.
Just wondering, are we going to have any outdoor summer services then, like once a month or?
Yeah, we will. Absolutely. And Nate's working on the schedule for that. We're looking right now, I think every other week, right? So every other week we'll be doing outdoor or parking lot as weather conditions allow. And then the alternate weeks will be indoor.
Is it one service at 9:30 then during the summer? Or?
I just want to clarify that, especially with Dr. Osterheim at our Synod Assembly, to reiterate, it is safer outside. So when we are outside, it makes sense to have one service. There's little to no concern about transmission when we're outside. But anytime we are inside, this format of being spaced apart in two services so far until the council makes a decision, which they're empowered to do in my absence, the inside services will probably still be two services just to really keep it safe, because that's really the only place that there was still concern. But yeah, when we're outside, it's perfectly safe for us to be, yeah. All right. Well, otherwise that is it. And one thing that we didn't talk about, and Siri mentioned it briefly, is when she returns, we're going to spend a lot of time together digging into what we've experienced and what she's experienced, and looking forward to that as well. So that'll be beginning August 22nd. Yeah.
It just came to me as we're listening to, me talk about sabbatical and what everybody here is saying about, using notebooks and reflections during service. That is part of the work we're being asked to do. And it just occurred to me as I'm sitting here listening to this, nobody has designed, I think, a sabbatical for a congregation. Huh? What does a sabbatical mean for a congregation? Not that I'm asking you to quit coming to church or whatever, but you follow me? we are maybe treading into some new ground to talk about this, because I don't ever recall reading it, so that it is a meaningful experience, but it's one of those basic things. You will get out of it what you put into it, right? And so that when we come back together next fall or whenever it is, we're going to start sharing our stories later in August, September, you realize you've been through something too, that we have been something as a congregation. Okay, I just want you to reflect on that too. You will get out of the sabbatical what you put into it on your own in terms of intentional living. Thank you. Would you repeat that?
Oh, I was just saying, maybe this is what Pastor Siri can write a book on when this is all done, and we interview the congregation and then get a final book. So
All right, so yeah, May 2nd, next Sunday is Confirmation Sunday, then May 9th, May 16th will be our send off for Pastor Siri, our last Sunday together, and May 23rd we begin. Thank you all so much.